So you've probably heard of aromatherapy, right?
Sure.
It's kind of like, scented candles or a relaxing massage at a spa.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you that? Like, there's a whole world of knowledge behind it.
Oh, yeah.
It's way beyond just, making a room smell nice.
Right.
And that's actually what we're diving into today.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using this comprehensive guide, Aromatherapy Arsenal, to help us navigate this topic.
That's right.
It's a really interesting one.
Yeah, when you think of aromatherapy, you probably think of like that calming atmosphere.
Right, exactly.
But as our source material aromatherapy or arsenal lays out, we're looking at something with a much wider potential.
Yeah,
Like it touches on everything from overall well-being to even romance.
it does.
Like setting the mood.
Yeah, exactly. And this aromatherapy arsenal, it's like our roadmap for today.
Right.
It really gets into everything from what essential oils are at their core,
Yeah.
all the way to how you can use them in your daily life. It even hints at some really interesting therapeutic and romantic possibilities that I, for one, hadn't really considered before.
Wow. Okay.
So our mission today is to unpack all of that juicy info,
Okay.
figure out what's really important, what's just hype,
Right.
and give you a solid understanding of what aromatherapy is all about.
Sounds good.
So let's just lay the groundwork here.
Okay.
What exactly is aromatherapy, at least according to our guide?
Yeah, you mentioned relaxation and calm, and that seems like the obvious starting point.
It is. It is. The guide acknowledges that a common association, making a space feel calm and relaxed. But then it goes on to say that aromatherapy has also been recognized for its medicinal qualities, too.
Wow. Okay.
And get this is something that I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more popular in the culinary world.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's not like a brand new trend.
Right.
It's actually kind of like going back to how people traditionally used aromatherapy for nutrition and even enhancing flavors.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
It's not just some fleeting modern trend.
Right.
The guide actually emphasizes that the roots of aromatherapy go way back, like further than modern medicine as we know it.
Wow. Okay.
And it actually shares an early example of how it was used.
Okay.
It mentions a story about a scientist who accidentally burned his hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he used lavender oil to treat it.
Okay.
And later on, it highlights how aromatherapy was even used during World War II,
Wow.
like as an antiseptic for wounded soldiers.
Oh, interesting.
It really kind of makes you think about it in a whole new way, doesn't it?
It does.
Like all these inherent natural properties that people understood and used even before we had, pharmaceuticals.
Right.
So now that we've got that background,
Yeah.
the guide breaks down the main ways that aromatherapy is actually used today.
Okay.
And it outlines three main areas.
Okay.
The first one is aerial diffusion. So, using essential oils in a diffuser to make a space smell nice, but also for things like disinfecting the air. Then you've got direct inhalation,
Okay.
which can be helpful for respiratory issues like congestion or that feeling of tightness in your chest.
Right.
And lastly, you've got topical applications.
Okay. Yeah.
This is probably what most people think of when they hear aromatherapy,
Yeah.
like massages and baths and compresses.
Right.
But it also includes things like therapeutic skincare.
Oh.
So the guide frames aromatherapy as both an alternative and a complementary treatment for your well-being.
Okay.
What insights does it offer on that?
Yeah. Like, what does that mean for you if you're considering trying aromatherapy?
Well, it basically positions it as a potentially less invasive way to address certain health concerns,
Okay.
like, an alternative to maybe more intensive treatments.
Interesting.
And it even mentions that it might play a role in preventing some diseases. Although it's careful to avoid making any hard and fast medical claims.
Right.
What really struck me though was how much emphasis it put on relaxation
Oh, okay.
and how that can lead to a more positive recovery even when it's used alongside, other medical treatments.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all about supporting your well-being from all angles.
Yeah, taking that holistic approach.
Right, exactly.
And the guide goes deeper into how it all works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It talks about how your sense of smell, like the olfactory system and the limbic system in your brain, are involved.
It does.
Right.
It explains how aromatherapy might actually influence the limbic system, which is all about emotions and memory.
Right.
And it does that through your sense of smell.
Interesting.
But also mentions that there's evidence to suggest that some essential oils have direct pharmacological effects too.
Wow.
So it's not just about how it makes you feel.
Right.
There could be some actual chemical interactions happening as well.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's really important to note that while the research is ongoing and it's definitely showing some promising stuff. That definitive scientific data that links aromatherapy with, like, other medical treatments is still being explored.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a frontier,
It is, yeah.
lots more to learn.
Right.
But that leads us to a really important question.
Okay.
Where do you even start?
Right. Like, where do you begin if you're brand new to all this?
The guide dedicates a whole section to just that, thankfully.
Oh, good.
And the very first thing it says is that you've got to know the difference between perfume oils and essential oils.
Okay.
Perfume oils are purely for fragrance,
Okay.
whereas essential oils, those are the ones that have the potential for therapeutic benefits,
Okay.
even if you're just enjoying the smell. So that's a big one to understand right from the start.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't want to use something that's just a fragrance if you're actually looking for, healing effects or something like that.
right.
What other advice does it give for newbies?
Yeah. What other, like, practical tips?
Okay, so it has some really, like, down-to-earth advice.
Like,
Okay, it says to avoid essential oils that come in those glass bottles with the rubber dropper tops,
okay.
because apparently the oil can actually degrade the rubber over time.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it really emphasizes the importance of reading up on aromatherapy
Okay.
and, like, essential oil safety and things like that.
Yeah.
Because even though it might seem pretty straightforward,
Right.
there are definitely some guidelines to be aware of so that you're using them safely
Right, of course.
and effectively.
Yeah. And to actually benefit from them, too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Safety first. Always.
Always.
What about when it comes to actually buying the oils?
Yeah. Does the guide say anything about where to find them?
Yes. It stresses the importance of being really picky about where you get your essential oils from,
Okay.
because apparently the quality can vary a lot.
Hmm.
And some places, might make misleading claims about how pure their oils are.
Oh, wow.
So it's really important to do your research.
Okay.
And it also advises you to get familiar with botanical names.
Oh, okay.
That's because, like, a common name, like bay laurels, for example,
Right.
can actually refer to different plants
Wow.
that have different properties.
Okay.
And they can even have different costs.
Gotcha.
So knowing the botanical name really makes sure that you're comparing apples to apples, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, with fruit,
Mm-hmm.
you have a Fuji apple and a golden delicious apple. They're both apples.
Yeah.
But they're different.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing with essential oils.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
So you got to pay attention to that scientific name to make sure you're getting what you're actually looking for.
Exactly.
And the guide also suggests considering where the oil came from,
Okay.
like what country it's from, and whether it's organic or wildcrafted or produced ethically.
Gotcha.
And here's a tip I found super helpful.
Okay.
It actually cautions against buying from, like, temporary vendors,
Okay.
like, at those street fairs or craft shows.
Right, right.
It actually suggests that reputable mail order companies
Okay.
might offer better quality oils
Huh.
at lower prices than some local health food stores.
Really?
Yeah. So it really highlights how important it is to do your research
It does, yeah.
and find those trustworthy sources, right?
Yeah.
So you've got your oils, you've done your research.
Yeah.
Where do you store them?
Right, like how do you keep them good for as long as possible?
So the guide recommends dark glass bottles,
Okay.
like the amber ones or the cobalt blue,
Yeah.
and keeping them in a cool, dark place.
Makes sense.
It even suggests using, like, woody boxes
Oh, okay.
or those old diskette holders to organize them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And it also circles back to safety again
Right.
and really emphasizes the importance of paying close attention to any safety data, especially if you have any existing health conditions.
Right.
Or if you're pregnant.
Of course, yeah.
Safety first, always.
Absolutely.
So now that we've talked about sourcing your oils and storing them properly, let's actually get into using them.
Right, putting them into practice.
Exactly. And the guide actually outlines several different methods.
Okay.
And it starts with a little word of caution
Okay.
because, essential oils have become really popular
Right.
and there's a whole industry around them.
Yeah.
So it reminds us that those labels might not always be accurate.
Oh, wow.
So you got to be careful.
Right, like scrutinize those labels. Yep.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it also reiterates how important good packaging is. Like avoiding any products with cracked or broken seals because that can mean contamination.
Right.
And that's no good.
No, not at all.
So it's all about being informed and careful.
Yeah.
But once you've got all that down, there are a few different ways you can actually use essential oils.
Okay, so let's break down those methods
Okay.
and how each one might lead to different results for you.
Okay, so the guide mentions aspiration.
Aspiration.
Yeah.
What's that?
Well, in this context, aspiration means inhaling essential oils
Okay.
that have been sprayed in like a fine mist.
Okay.
And it's usually mixed with some distilled water.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like sniffing straight from the bottle or anything.
All right.
And the guide suggests that this can be really helpful for things like sinus problems,
Okay.
headaches, colds, and chest congestion. It even says that it might work faster for those kinds of problems than oral or topical applications.
Oh, wow.
Because you're basically delivering the oils directly to your respiratory system.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a more direct route.
So what about if you just want to create a nice calming atmosphere in your space?
For that, the guide recommends spraying a mix of essential oils and distilled water. And it says this can be really good for people who are feeling nervous or depressed or stressed.
Yeah.
Like, it's all about creating a relaxing ambiance.
Right. Influencing your mood through scent.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got aspiration and spraying. What about topical application?
Yeah, so that's probably the method that most people are familiar with
Right. Yeah.
because it's used for things like massage and skincare.
Right.
And the main thing to be aware of here is concentration,
Okay.
because essential oils are really potent. So when you're applying them directly to your skin,
Right.
you have to be really careful about diluting them properly in a carrier oil
Okay.
so that you don't have an allergic reaction.
Right. Makes sense.
The guide actually highlights one oil in particular,
Okay.
helichrysum essential oil.
Helichrysum. Okay.
And it says it can be really good for damaged skin
Oh, wow.
because it has anti-inflammatory properties and these things called regenerative diketones.
Huh. So it can help with healing.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
It also mentions other oils that are known for their skin healing properties,
Okay.
like lilac and sage.
Okay.
Although it cautions to use sage sparingly because it can be toxic in higher amounts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and rosemary is another one.
Okay, so it sounds like it's really important to pay attention to the specific properties of each oil
Definitely, yeah.
and to follow those safety guidelines carefully.
Absolutely.
Does the guide say anything about using aromatherapy for wound care?
It does. It mentions that some essential oils have antiseptic properties
Okay.
and that they can be helpful for treating wounds.
Like open wounds.
Yeah, until they've sealed up.
Okay.
And then you don't need to keep applying them.
Interesting.
Tea tree oil is one that it specifically mentions for this,
Oh, okay.
which is pretty interesting because tea tree oil is actually known for its antimicrobial properties.
Right. Yeah.
It contains a compound called terpenophorol, which is known to fight off bacteria and other microbes.
So it makes sense that it would be helpful for wounds.
Right.
Okay, so it's good to know about that.
And the guide also talks about how essential oils can be great for general skincare too.
Okay.
Like they can provide important nutrients for healthy, youthful skin. And it even mentions those gentler forms of aromatherapy that you find in products like bath salts, shower gels, shampoos, and lotions.
Right. Yeah.
You know, those usually have more subtle scents, but they can still offer those relaxing benefits.
Yeah. Definitely.
And then lastly, it points out that essential oils like lilac can even be calming for your mind.
Oh.
Like if you're feeling restless or irritable, it might help.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how many different potential uses there are.
It is.
Right.
It's pretty incredible.
So it's clear that there's a whole range of applications.
Yeah.
From targeted treatments to just enhancing your general well-being. But now, here's the fun part.
Okay.
The DIY recipes.
Oh, yeah. The guide has some of those, right?
It does, and this is where you can really start to personalize your aromatherapy experience.
That's cool.
Like the guide talks about how you can blend your own essential oils,
Okay.
and it can be for pure enjoyment, just because you love the smells,
Right.
or it can be for specific therapeutic purposes.
It's like, soothing sore muscles or maybe clearing up acne
Right.
or even like boosting your mood during those gloomy winter months.
Yeah, I could use some of that.
Yeah, who couldn't?
So let's talk about those recipes.
Okay, so the first one is for aromatherapy bath oil,
Okay.
and it's super simple.
Okay.
You just take 2 ounces of a carrier oil, like jojoba oil,
Okay.
and mix it with 20 drops of lilac essential oil.
Okay.
Or you can use 15 to 20 drops of a skin-safe essential oil blend that you like.
Gotcha.
You mix those together, store it in a glass bottle,
Okay.
and then when you're ready for a bath, you just add about 1/4 of an ounce to the water.
Go.
after you've drawn your bath.
Gotcha.
And you mix it in well.
Okay.
And the guide really emphasizes that this method is safer than adding the essential oils directly to the water
Oh, okay. Why is that?
because it can sometimes irritate your skin.
Makes sense.
So the carrier oil helps to disperse the essential oils more evenly.
And it also creates a barrier between the concentrated oils and your skin.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Yeah, it's all about minimizing that risk.
So what about the bath salts?
Okay, so for the bath salts, you need 3 cups of salt.
Okay.
And you have some choices here.
Oh,
You can use sea salt, Dead Sea salt,
okay.
Himalayan pink salt,
Nice.
Epsom salt,
Classic.
or even a combination of different ones.
Oh, cool.
And the guide says that using different grain sizes
Okay.
can make them look really pretty.
Oh, like visually appealing.
Exactly. Although the finer grains will dissolve faster in the water.
Right.
So it's up to you.
So you've got your salt. What's next?
Then you add 15 to 24 drops of your chosen essential oil or blend.
Okay.
And again, always remember those safety guidelines. And if you want to add some extra moisture,
Yeah.
you can also include a tablespoon of jojoba oil
Okay.
or fractionated coconut oil.
Gotcha.
And to actually make them,
Okay.
you start by mixing the salts in a bowl. Then you blend in the carrier oil if you're using it.
Okay.
And lastly, you add the essential oil drops.
Okay.
And you just make sure that everything is combined really well.
Gotcha.
And the guide recommends storing them in an airtight container
Okay.
so that they keep their scent.
Makes sense.
And it even talks about adding color.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can use FD&C liquid dye
Okay.
or mica powder. But it really emphasizes that you should only use skin-safe colorants
Right.
and just uses a tiny bit
Okay.
because you don't want to end up with like a stained bathtub or a stained skin.
Oh, yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, so just be careful with that.
So once you've made them, how much do you use?
When you're ready for a bath,
Yeah.
you just add about a cup to your running bath water.
Okay.
Mix it in well before you get in.
Uh-huh.
And it's best to add them right before you get in
Okay.
so that the essential oils don't evaporate too quickly.
Right. That makes sense.
So those recipes are a great starting point,
They are, yeah.
to get you experimenting with DIY aromatherapy.
So shifting gears a little bit,
Okay.
the guide also talks about using aromatherapy to address specific health issues.
It does, yeah.
And it makes a connection between stress and anxiety, nutrition, and overall health, right?
Okay.
And it suggests that aromatherapy could be a good addition to your overall well-being strategy.
Exactly.
So can you share some of the examples from the guide that stood out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So for acne, it suggests lavender or tea tree oil.
Okay, yeah, tea tree oil is good for that.
It is.
Right.
Yeah, it has those antimicrobial properties that can help to kill the bacteria that cause acne.
Right.
And lavender is great too.
Yeah.
Because it's soothing and anti-inflammatory.
Okay.
So it can help to calm down any redness or irritation.
Gotcha.
And you can apply those directly to your skin,
Okay.
or you can add them to a body lotion.
Right.
For anxiety, it lists a few different options.
Okay.
Like chamomile, California poppy,
Okay.
passion flower,
Interesting.
and lemon balm.
Huh. So lots of calming scents.
Yeah, exactly.
What about for asthma?
So for asthma, it mentions ginkgo biloba and mullein oil,
Okay.
along with a traditional Chinese herb called,
Yeah.
it starts with an F.
Okay.
Can't remember the name of it right now,
That's all right.
but it's in the guide.
Right. If you're listening, check the guide.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about if you get a bee sting?
For a bee sting, it suggests a mixture of lavender with a vegetable oil.
Okay.
And for a cold, it recommends eucalyptus oil inhalation.
Ah, eucalyptus.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And tea tree oil gargle.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it covers quite a few common ailments.
It does.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's super important to remember that this guide,
Yeah.
it's just offering information.
Right.
If you have any serious or persistent health problems,
Yeah.
you should always talk to a doctor
Absolutely. Yeah.
or a qualified healthcare professional.
Right. Always good to get professional advice. Okay, so the guide also delves into a really interesting topic.
Yeah.
Aromatherapy for romance.
It does, yeah.
It's kind of unexpected, but I'm intrigued.
Right.
Yeah.
It starts off by saying that heightening all 5 senses
Okay.
can make romance and intimacy even better.
Makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it talks about what it calls a sensual person.
Okay.
And that's someone who's really in tune with their senses.
Oh, okay.
Like they notice and appreciate even the smallest changes in how things feel, taste, smell, sound, and look.
Oh, wow.
And they really value activities that engage those senses.
Right.
Like, music, foods, visual arts,
Right.
and of course, aromatherapy and touch.
Yeah.
So, how does aromatherapy fit into all of this romance stuff?
Right. Like, how do those things connect?
Well, the guide explains that natural aromatics play a really important role in romance and love and intimacy
Okay.
because our sense of smell
Yeah.
is so closely tied to our emotions and memories. So it suggests incorporating things like fragranced room sprays, body mists,
Okay.
bath oils,
Yeah.
and rub down oils
Oh, yeah.
to make the atmosphere more sensual for a romantic evening.
I like it.
And while the guide acknowledges that aromatherapy isn't like a magic love potion,
Right.
it can definitely contribute to creating a more inviting and sensual mood overall.
Yeah, it's about setting the stage
Exactly.
and making that extra effort.
Right. And it also points out that if you're planning a romantic occasion
Yeah.
and you pay attention to those little aromatic details, it can make your partner feel really special.
Yeah, it shows you care.
Exactly.
It's thoughtful.
And it doesn't even have to be like a big planned thing.
Right.
Even spontaneous moments can be enhanced with aromatherapy,
Uh-oh.
as long as you've got some things prepared in advance.
Right, like have your oils ready to go.
Exactly.
So the guide also mentions aphrodisiacs.
Yes, it does.
What does it say about those?
So it basically defines them as substances that can, enhance or arouse passion and sexual desire.
Okay.
And that includes certain essential oils.
Gotcha.
And it suggests that these aphrodisiacs might be able to help people overcome
Yeah.
like physical, psychological, or emotional barriers
Yeah.
that are getting in the way of attraction and arousal.
Wow, so it's not just about setting the mood, it's potentially about addressing deeper issues as well.
Right, exactly. That's fascinating.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into aromatherapy arsenal today,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways that you think our listeners should remember?
Yeah, what are the big things you're walking away with?
Well, I think the most important thing for me is the realization that aromatherapy,
Yeah.
it's so much more than just making things smell nice.
Right.
The guide presents it as a natural, gentle, and non-invasive approach that can potentially help with a whole range of issues.
Yeah,
And even work alongside existing medical treatments.
that's really cool.
And the fact that it's so calming and soothing.
Means that it can be especially helpful for conditions that require you to be relaxed.
Right.
And it even suggests that inhaling certain scents might help to manage the stress that's related to illness.
Wow, so it really is about taking a holistic view of your well-being.
Exactly.
Considering how your senses, your emotions, and your physical health are all connected.
Yeah, I think that's a really important takeaway.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been a fascinating exploration.
It really has.
And Aromatherapy Arsenal offers a lot of valuable insights
Yeah.
into how we can use aromatherapy in our lives.
And we've only just scratched the surface here.
Right, there's so much more in the guide that we didn't even have time to cover.
So much.
But hopefully this has given you a good starting point.
Yeah.
I would encourage you to check out the guide yourself
Yeah.
and maybe even try out one of those DIY recipes.
They're easy enough to follow.
They are, yeah,
And it's a fun way to start exploring the benefits of aromatherapy firsthand.
definitely.
So what are you walking away with?
What's standing out to you most about all these different ways that aromatherapy can be used?
Yeah.
And what questions are you left with?
What are you curious about now?
This is really just the beginning of your journey into the world of essential oils.
Yeah.
And there's a whole world of possibilities out there.
So keep exploring and see what you discover.
Exactly.
Happy sniffing.
All right. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.